30. Mr. Kessler, are we ready to go? Thank you, sir. I call this work session of Staunton City Council to order. First thing we'll do is a consideration of the work session and regular meeting agendas. Is there a motion on the floor from someone?
Mayor Claffey. I move to approve the work session and regular meeting agendas as presented.
Thank you. The motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second. You'll do that during the regular meeting.
We'll do,
okay. I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I was just saying that. Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yes, sir. That'll happen during the regular meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's regular meeting.
Thank you.
I second.
Very good. Thank you. Councilor Woods. Mr. Kessler, please call the roll.
Miss Edwards.
Aye.
Mr. Airwood.
Aye.
Miss Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Robertson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Darby.
Aye.
Mayor Claffey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Right. And that takes us to the first item of business, the Staunton Plan update. Ms. Beauregard.
I'm going to stand. All right. So this is the first update I'm providing on your strategic plan, which was adopted, which was put together during your retreat in February and March, and then adopted in May. So this is the first update to that. So this is just a reminder of what the vision is. I'm not going to read these. We all know what that is. You also at that retreat reiterated your values. Those did not change. So those are the 5 values, the city values. And then we're going to get into each goal area. So the first goal area is infrastructure. So the first objective is plan for and provide appropriate water infrastructure. And a couple of exciting things happened in the last 6 months. One is that the city was able to secure a grant to fund a portion of the Gardner Springs pump station. And then City Council approved that the remaining bonds that were dedicated to that would be used for other water projects. And we have numerous water projects coming up that we're going to talk to Council about starting with the 25 budget cycle. But that was all great news that happened. It was able to give us a little bit more flexibility in the water fund. And if you have any questions, let me know while I'm talking. Second is complete the infrastructure for Staunton Crossing. The city received a $4.6 million grant from the state to install sewer lines in the pump station. We need to next, though, secure some funding for the water infrastructure, or else we're going to be using our own money for that. But we're going to apply to the state to receive funds, hopefully, for the water infrastructure at Staunton Crossing. And a lot of these slides have some quick facts, too, kind of fun facts. The next objective is focus on creating walkable spaces. We have several items here to talk about. One is the capital reserve funds of almost $500,000 that's in place right now for sidewalks and bike ped infrastructure. And we add to this every year. So when you see the CIP in a few months, you'll see an addition of a couple $100,000 into this reserve fund. And then we have about $31 million in locally and VDOT administered funds for all these projects, which each of them have kind of a pedestrian or a walkability function. In January, you will hear about all these VDOT projects coming up. 2025 is going to be the year of VDOT in the city. So we are going to start prepping council and the community for the plethora of projects that are going to be occurring during that time. And finally, in infrastructure, plan for and provide stormwater infrastructure. We have a couple of big projects. One is the Gypsy Hill Park Stream Resto, which will be bid this month. Cole Avenue Stream Resto will be bid next spring. And we're working through processes. I remember the tunnel maximization project study that was funded through ARPA funds and $650,000. So we're working through the processes to start that. What's next is at the next work session, you will receive an update on where we are with stormwater. Remember, we said we would do a study on the fee structure, so we'll be bringing that back to you to start that discussion. And then we're going to continue to grow public information regarding stormwater management. It kind of feels like the invisible tax a little bit because it rains and, it's a very difficult thing to explain to folks generally, but it is very, very important. And I know you heard that this will be the 3rd time we bring the stormwater, to you in the last year. So it's really important. So we're going to bring that back to you next month. The next item, goal area, is economic development. And the first objective is pursue targeted industries for development of Staunton Crossing. Of course, the road is underway and that's projected to be completed next May. And the full marketing effort of Staunton Crossing is in place. And what's next is to continue targeted marketing of Staunton Crossing. The second objective is support the retention and expansion of existing businesses to attract new businesses and promote tourism. You've heard about a lot of new businesses that are coming, that have come over the past year, so it's really exciting. I'm not even going to talk about tourism because Ms. Wagner is going to do that next. We're going to continue to market the city as a business-friendly place for all businesses, and we're going to continue to aggressively market our tourism. And finally, in economic development, provide affordable housing and housing for working families. You received 2 updates in the last couple of months, one in August and one in October, from Rebecca Joyce, who's our newly hired housing planner. And then housing and city manager staff participated in several regional housing meetings and summits. And what's next, and Ms. Joyce spoke to these what's next items during her presentation last month. We're going to be looking at providing educational opportunities to City Council on housing. We're going to distribute a survey about housing, kind of create a task list of housing related activities that we could be doing or are doing, and starting to explore outside funding sources for affordable housing activities, and probably come back in spring 2024 with another update on where Ms. Joyce activities are. Under responsive efficient government, this is kind of the internal looking goal, a little more about employees. And this is the picture from the most recent employee picnic. There's Pat in the yellow. He was employee of the year. He's a refuse driver. You might remember him, the picture with a little boy who was just in love with him. So he received employee of the year. It was a really fun day. We had a great time. So the first objective is recruit highly qualified employees, retain employees that receive continual training and development, compensate competitively, and maintain a workforce that reflects the community it serves. And as you remember, as part of the 24 budget, we were able to partially implement a compensation and classification study plan that the city had conducted this time last year. And when we start to think about 2025, we'll look at what we can do again, depending on what we can fund. Employees didn't see any significant changes in health insurance, which is a good thing, especially as costs go up. And then we had an employee engagement and satisfaction survey last year, which is the first one in recent memory. And we're going to try to do those every other year so we start to see trends. So we'll start as we kind of work through those year after year, we can start to see what can be implemented, what are the trends that we're seeing with how employees are feeling about working for the city of Staunton. I'll say generally the responses were very positive. People felt good about having jobs here and working for the city. So that was a good exercise to go through with the employees. So we'll continue to explore and implement innovative ideas to attract and retain employees. We'll continue to offer professional development. And the employee of the quarter, I asked the Staunton Employee Committee if they wanted to relook at that or revisit that, and they're looking at how we incorporate the city values so that we could see a change in that as well. So that's really exciting. And finally, prioritize regional solutions and problem solving. So these are 3 big ones. We're continuing to finalize plans for the new animal shelter that will begin construction and open next year. The Lewis Street hub, the Bright Transit hub, you'll see activity over there sometime next spring. And then we are taking a regional approach to determining how the city allocates opioid settlement funds, and that's with Staunton, Augusta, Waynesboro. So that process will have a community visioning portion to it as well. And then the shelter will open in 2024 and the transit hub will as well. Finally, review and implement changes to the city's organizational structure to better achieve council's goals. We are permanently reorganizing community development and economic development by adding that position, the additional position for community development. We'll start advertising for that position in the next 30 days, if not sooner. So that's happening. We have a new organizational focus on affordable housing, which I've already talked about. And then we've done some reorganization in public works. We are advertising for a deputy director that is in lieu of a supervisor. And that will help with that department to better streamline operations and find some efficiencies in that department. And we'll continue to look at how we can obviously better, if there are any other organizational structure changes that we can make. Develop an effective communications and engagement function. So engagement and communications manager position recruitment is complete. We are finalizing that, so hopefully some news will come out about that in the next week or so. And with that position, we hope to have increased capacity for an organization-wide communication and room for innovation, which we just haven't had, given that we haven't had that position filled for a while. The West End, there's only one objective here, implementation of the West End Revitalization Plan. It's a big objective. So that is underway. It's on track to be completed mid-2024. And also council dedicated 1 penny of the real estate tax revenue to the West End as a reserve. The West End Revitalization Plan, if you remember, was funded with ARPA funds. So that plan will be done next summer, and we'll continue discussing how to resource implementation of that plan once those results are, once you're briefed on those results sometime next year. Under built environment, of course, that's our future home of JDR, which is very exciting. Separation of city J&DR court operations from Augusta County. So we have a website now that keeps information updated. Staff has met with the West End Business Association regarding the project, and we provided council with 2 updates so far, one in August and one in October. And what's next is that we're going to continue to meet all the Commonwealth deadlines for the facility. Our next update will be early 2024, and we have to break ground by spring of 2024. And we will be open by fall of 2025, so it's very ambitious. I'm looking at Jeff over there tremble a little bit, so can't see him, but I can feel it. Plan for the future of public safety facilities. This is very specifically about police and fire and rescue. We do have a space needs assessment that was completed. We will be reviewing that and presenting that to council as far as a plan in 2024, and then we'll be looking at future capital budgeting. Understand capacity needs and focus on repurposing facilities for city use. We have a master plan, speaking of J&DR, for Chestnut Hills overall, and that will help vision what that property, in terms of the remaining part of that property, what that will look like. And we're looking at all of our city needs. We know the public library, there's going to be a space needs assessment funded in early 2024. We know we need community and meeting space. Office on Youth is looking for space, court services, warehouse storage. So we have a lot of things to think about and consider. Chestnut Hills offers a unique opportunity. Not everything is going to fit over there, obviously, nor should it. So we'll have to keep looking long-term for other city facility needs and opportunities as they come up. Okay, so next steps. This might be ambitious. Maybe we do a 1-day council mini retreat in early 2024 to discuss and review the plan and start talking about what those measures of success look like to you all. We'll have a new member of council also, so that might be a good time just to do a 1-day kind of mini session with you all. We'll continue to align city operations with values, goals, and objectives, and to keep them in the forefront of the organization of the community. And the next formal update on the plan will be in May of 2024. That is my presentation. Happy to address any questions you might have.
Questions from council?
There's a lot going on. Yeah, we're keeping very busy.
Yeah, no, I don't have a question. It's exciting. It's good to see. It's great to see all these plans that have been laid out coming into fruition and seeing steps made. And I just appreciate the communication around it. And it's exciting. Can you just say one more time, Leslie, when the debt for crossing will be retired?
5 years from now.
Okay.
I could get the exact year for you.
Okay. I saw the $15 million, but then I didn't see the deadline.
That's the total debt.
Yeah. That's the total debt.
If you would like, I can get you the exact numbers.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I can remember that.
Sure.
I just didn't write it down.
Any other questions or thoughts?
If we sell any of that property, does that automatically go against the debt?
Well,
or does it go back into just the general funds for other things?
If we sell, well, we don't own the property. I don't know, actually, I'm not the right person to ask about that, what happens with that. I'll have to get back to you on that. I mean, I know the more that we have built out there and the revenue that generates will certainly help offset the debt. But yeah, well, to answer your question, yes, I believe so. But let me clarify that. Yeah. Any other
Comments?
questions?
Oh, it's exciting. I'm excited about the comms director coming and the new positions that are going to really help streamline government functions.
Yeah, we have to make an announcement about the communications manager in the next
communications
week or so.
manager.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Well, the really exciting part is next.
Wow. Certainly.
And it's bittersweet, too.
It is.
Bittersweet.
So, anyway, thank you.
It's not exciting for us.
Oh,
It's
it's
not
not.
exciting for us.
I forgot.
Every time she looks at me, she cries. That's right.
Well, welcome, but we are, we're all a little upset.
Don't always have to go home.
Well, I get the opportunity to. Oh, you guys stop. It's been a great 15 years, and I really appreciate it. I think I've made an impact on the city, and so I can walk away knowing that I've achieved something.
Job well done.
So let's just get on with the presentation and not talk about that.
Let's give her a hand clap.
Okay. So I usually start these off about the same, but they change every year. You know, of course, our mission is to promote the city as a tourism destination. And we do that through marketing, advertising, public relations, and sales. So the Staunton Tourism Department was created in 1989. I was your second Director of Tourism. Proud of that. This year, our money, we had $650,000 to spend on tourism and about $60,000 for our visitor center. And, you know, we get those funds from general fund and from the lodging tax. This is our staff, and two of them are here. Jessica is our marketing manager. Kim does everything in the office. She's amazing. Then, of course, we have 4 part-time people down at our visitor center. If you haven't been down there, I suggest that you go. This was updated. We have over 1,600 hotel rooms, 89 restaurants, 5 B&Bs, 65 independent retailers, 2 breweries, a cidery, and a winery in the city. And the Airbnbs just continue to grow. We have, as of when I made this slide a few days ago, 171 Airbnbs. So what I always like to tell you all is that tourism is an instant revenue generator. This doesn't take a year. This doesn't take 5 years. This doesn't take a decade. We bring in money into sales, lodging, and meals tax immediately. And Virginia Tourism does this economic impact study for all of the different localities, and then it's always a year behind. So we just got this one in September, but we were up 23% with our expenditures being at, you know, almost $78 million in the city. We also get what's called the Smith Travel Research Report, the STAR report, and this tells about all of our hotels and how they're doing. And as you can see, the last 3 months we've actually been down. You know, September, QCMM had some pretty terrible weather, but overall for 2023 we're only down 1.5%. And I've talked to a few other localities, and what they are telling me, and even Massanutten Resort, is that 2022 people were just ready to get out. They wanted to go travel. And in 2023, they're going to Europe and further away places that they now feel more safe going. So, so we are down just a little bit this year. But revenue for our hotels, if you look at the very bottom, is over 26 million, and that's up just a little bit because they adjust their rates, and so we are up overall in revenue. So this is really hard to see. I hope you guys get copies, but you do have copies of it. Okay. So we started working with this new platform called Zartico, and I've talked to the mayor about it several times in our tourism advisory board meetings. This is a platform that it looks at cell phone data for when people are in our market and also credit card data. And so we don't get every single person that comes in, but it's a sample like any other research would be. Instead of sending out surveys, where did you stay? How long did you stay? Where did you come from? That kind of thing. This tells us. And so what's really interesting about this slide, this is our visitor market. Number one right now is Roanoke, Lynchburg area. And this is for this last 12 months. And then DC, and then the Virginia Beach area, and then Richmond. But what I wanted you to look at is that green line for Richmond, and that's how much they spend. So what this informs us is that we need to market more to Richmond because they spend more money.
Yeah.
And then we can actually get down a little bit deeper into that market area. And what I did was just Washington, D.C. And these are the areas that people are coming from in Washington, D.C. And it also tells you visitor spend there. So Washington itself is number one, and then Arlington, Winchester, but Culpeper spends the most money. This is also, it tells you our primary points of interest. And this is, we have several different maps on Zartico. One is downtown Staunton, one is Staunton City, and then it gives us all over Augusta County as well. So now it's going to tell you Mary Baldwin, and that's because all of those kids have phones and they're not from here. So we're still working out how to exclude Mary Baldwin as one of our tourism points of interest. But the next would be Hotel 24, then the block of where Yelping Dog is, and then the block where we are, the Book Dragon beside us, Howard Johnson, and then down at the wharf, then the Clock Tower building, the Staunton Visitor Center, Mill Street Grill. You made the top 10.
And I keep yelling at people to get off their phones.
Yeah. Well, we need them to be on their phones and their location service is on. And then this is just for the city and Gypsy Hill Park. You know, that's number one. Next would be the Frontier Culture Museum, Statler Square. And it might be because of, there's restaurants and grocery and that kind of thing there. The Marriott, Thorn Rose Cemetery, True by Hilton, the Ingleside Golf Resort. Anyway, you can read these. You have them on your list. Next, I think this is really interesting. So what is the visitors' impact on restaurants? So average visitors spend $87 in our restaurants. Now, you've got to realize that's also fast food, not just eating at Shenandoah or Blue Point. What's the impact on retail? $123. The impact on accommodations, $327. And we always know they spend most on accommodations. And the impact on our attractions, $84. And lastly, and I know you can't read this one, but it also talks about our events. So this was just September of 2023. And we are still talking to them about Queen City Mischief and Magic because Sunday they only pulled Queen City Mischief and Magic pancake breakfast. So that was 196 people. So we know it was more than that. We're estimating at least 15,000 for this year. But Art in the Park did really well this year. But it gives us events all over the county and the impact that they had. So I talked about all our attractions and our events. Heifetz was up 23% this year. Happy Birthday America about 25,000. Frontier Culture Museum was up 14%, as was Woodrow Wilson. Queen City Mischief and Magic about 15,000 people. Art in the Park about 8,000 people this year. American Shakespeare Center was up almost 50%, and Stanton Music Festival was up 12.5. The Shakespeare Center is doing really well. Yes, they are selling out. And I mean, if you need a ticket for A Christmas Carol, you better go now.
Do you recall what QCMM was last year?
Last year, it was about 30,000.
30, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was between 25 and 30. And we can look at that through Zartico and show that. But they're still only showing one day for QCMM. And so we're trying to work through that with them.
Sure.
So I wanted to talk about Virginia Scenic Railway. Of course, it launched in August of 2022. I know our restaurants, our retailers, our lodging properties, they see people coming off the train and spending money with them. So it's been a really great new attraction for the city. But I want to tell you about next year. So the Blue Ridge Flyer and the Allegheny Special are the two rides that they do. And in 2024, they're going to have 2 passenger cars, not just one. Thank goodness. And they're also going to serve alcohol. And they're going to offer a table service meal, is what they told me. And as you can see, passengers have come from all over the U.S. The Santa train this year, huge demand. So last year they could offer 3,300 riders, and that was it. But since they're doubling their capacity and they're going to run 4 days a week, they are expecting about 8,000 riders on the Santa train this year. The train out of Goshen that came to Staunton, I know many of you went on that train ride, but they saw about 20,000 passengers on that train. And when I went, you know, I'm in tourism. I got to survey people where they were staying because there's not a lot of places to stay in Goshen. And they were coming back to Staunton, at least anecdotally. So what's new? There's just been so much, and I didn't get a screen capture of everything, but the historic Berkeley Place, the bed and breakfast reopened. Slide at 23 closed, but it's now going to be Queen City Bistro. The Community Culture Thrift Exchange, that's their logo down there. Micah's Coffee, Secret Garden in the West End, and Staunton Books on Beverly Street reopened. Cosette Cafe on Beverly Street, Star Party Winery Tasting Room on Beverly Street where Pompeii Lounge used to be, the Art Hive, Vivid Earth Adventures. So this is a group that will take you rock climbing, will take you caving. So it's a new business in Staunton. Queen City Gifts and Games, and the Local Collective. And I'm sure I missed something. Maud and the Bear, I talked to Ian. They're hoping to open in January.
Can you tell us what that is? What is Maud and the Bear?
Maud and the Bear. It's going to be a restaurant and lodging property that Ian Bowden is opening. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's called. Okay.
So our website is visitstanton.com, and over the past 12 months, we've had about 550,000 sessions and 1.2 million page views and over a minute of people staying on our website. And you know how that is a long time for a tourism website. Group tours and meetings. Jessica is all over the place, going to these shows, promoting Staunton as a place where you can bring a group tour and a meeting. These are just a few of the places that she went. We hosted Virginia Society of Association Executives. So these are people that they run different associations. Like I belong to Virginia Association of DMOs. This would be their meeting planner. They came to Staunton in March, and we've already seen business from it. So this is a group tour profile sheet that she uses. And this is what she gives to a group tour operator. So it says, these are your group attractions, and then it has some suggested itineraries on the right. And this is the meeting profile sheet. And so it's actually 4 pages, and the way it showed up on here is not how it actually looks. But like the front cover is that maroon cover. And then we put our 2 full service hotels on the inside. So the Blackburn Inn and Hotel 24 South. And then on the back is like unique venues like Staunton Hub, where you could bring your meeting to. So those are our pieces that we give out. This is our current print campaign, Make New Memories. We also do radio advertising on NPR and WNRN. We're in Richmond Magazine. We're going to be in the Virginia guide that one of our association does, because they distribute that guide in all of the welcome centers and rest areas, and it really does get picked up. So we're doing an ad in that this year. Our ad agency is Madden Media. I just want to give you an example of some of our ads. So this is search engine marketing. I don't want to get too deep into this. I'm sure you don't care, but that's what it looks like on the right. If somebody searches, then we have an ad that comes up if they search Staunton or Shenandoah Valley. Our click-through rate on this is insane. It's almost 20%, and the industry average is under 5%. So we do Google prospecting as well. And these were the most popular ads that we had. And folks from Philadelphia, Ashburn, Baltimore were primarily who looked at our ads or clicked on our ads. Google remarketing. So if you've looked for us before, then we're going to target you again. That's all what remarketing is. And you've seen it before when people follow you around on the internet. We do that too. And then Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. I thought this was really cute. Our highest click-through rate ad was actually the Frontier Culture Museum with the pig. Yeah. And we also do remarketing through Instagram and Facebook. And we did a little video this year, and it did really well. Out of the almost 70,000 people that started viewing it, almost 30,000 viewed it all the way through, and that's a great number. And then of course we do native ads, so you could be on any website and then might see one of our ads pop up, and this is what they look like. And we had 1.9 million impressions for our native ads. As you know, we spend a lot of our time and resources on public relations, and these are our most recent accolades and awards. Best things to do in Staunton from Southern Living. 40 of the best main streets in America you need to visit ASAP. I think a lot of this, when we didn't have a lot of money, you know, when I first started here, I think our budget was about $200,000, is when we decided that it was public relations. We needed great photos, and we needed to make those relationships with the media. And that has continued to pay off for us. And I want to show you this. We have started on a video. If you remember, and this is the last slide. If you remember, there was a writer's strike and so we had a director out of Nashville contact us, said, I've visited Staunton, can I come do a video for you? And worked with our ad agency. It's not complete. It doesn't have the voiceover yet, but since this is my last meeting, I wanted to show it to you.
Smell right there. Great. Great.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not finished. It's a rough cut still, but I wanted you to see it.
You at least had music on. I saw it the other day, and it was just, the one that he sound or anything.
Oh, yeah.
The guy that's car it was showed it to me because he
Oh, he
enjoyed
did?
it.
Yeah, Jimmy Robin.
Oh.
So I know Jimmy. He was all excited to do it, and
Cool.
yeah, it's neat, very neat.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. If you
Thank
have,
you, Cheryl, for everything you have done for the city of Staunton.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, so you
You are a rock star in this
you've
city.
been wonderful.
Let's congrats.
Yeah, let's do it.
Big shoes to fill here.
Yeah.
Big
Wow.
No, yeah, don't take too many of our people to Lexington.
All right. So running on ahead of time.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all messed up.
Yeah. Miss Manager, can we get somebody to change that clock? It's very disconcerting.
608. Put your
All right. Now, at this time, the next item is a closed meeting, and I just want to have a word here. This is Terry Holmes' last meeting, but we're going to miss Terry. But we had elections this weekend, and Adam Campbell was elected, and we want to congratulate him.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to his service to the city. And since we're going to be going into a closed meeting and discussing things that are going to be pertinent to his future on the council, I'm going to ask him to be included in our closed meeting session tonight. As long as you're willing. Okay.
All right.
So when we go to closed meeting, it's going to include Adam tonight. So I will entertain a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Robertson.
I moved in a closed meeting for one, consultation with legal counsel, the city attorney of Staunton, Virginia, to discuss legal matters related to a regional agreement requiring the provision of legal advice pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A8. And two, consultation with legal counsel of actual or probable litigation related to a quiet title action for property located on Churchville Avenue pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A7. And number three, discussion or consideration of the disposition of real property located within the city limits of Staunton, Virginia on Crossing Way, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A3.
Thank you for that mouthful.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Terry Holmes is second. Mr. Kessinger, could you call the roll, please?
Miss Woods,
Aye.
Miss Edwards,
Aye.
Mr. Robertson,
Aye.
Mr. Holmes,
Aye.
Mr. Arrowood,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Darby,
Aye.
Mayor Claffey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, and we will return at, well, look at that clock, right? 6:59.
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
Oh, it's just sliding.
Good evening.
My boundaries.
First order of business we have to do is come out of a closed session.
Mayor Claffey. I move that council reconvene in an open meeting and certify to the best of each member's knowledge that only lawful exempt public business matters were discussed and only public business matters as identified in the closed meeting motion were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Holmes. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
A second.
Councilor Robertson is second. Mr. Kesker.
Mr. Arrowood.
Aye.
Ms. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Holmes.
Aye.
Mr. Robertson.
Aye.
Ms. Edwards.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Darby.
Aye.
Mayor Claffey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And with that, I call the 7 o'clock meeting to order. I just want to mention that we have a new member here on that joined us in the closed session, and that's Adam Campbell, who was just recently elected on Tuesday night. We're looking forward to him joining us on council, and therefore we invited him to the closed session in the back room the last 30 minutes, and looking forward to him joining us as soon as all the election results are certified. And congratulations on Adam. Everybody stand up. Come on, stand up.
Yeah.
Job well done. Now I ask everybody to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And tonight's invocation moment of silence is brought to us by Councilor Woods.
Mayor Claffey, thank you. And it says invocation, so that's what I will be doing tonight, is giving the invocation. And what an invocation is just opening the meeting up, and it's in the form of a prayer. So if you'd like to join me, you can. If not, that is also okay. So here we go. Heavenly Father, thank you for another day. Thank you for another opportunity to serve as a council. May we let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than him or herself. Let each of us look out not only for our own interests, but also for the interests of others as we serve and make decisions in this capacity as City Council. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Next order of business is proclamations, and as I mentioned, this is scheduled to be Councilor Terry Holmes' last meeting, and I wasn't going to let him out easy.
I get the honor of doing the Veterans Proclamation, which I don't think there's anybody who's ever served in our military or even the Peace Corps or any kind of volunteer like that. It's one of the best things you could ever do for the country, and these people deserve, all that we can give them. And I'd like to welcome Colonel Patrick here. She's going to listen to us as we go on here. I'm not the best reader, so I'm going to try to do this without messing it up. For Veterans Day, November 11, 2023, City of Staunton proclamation. Whereas Veterans Day has its origins in November 11, 1918's armistice that brought World War I to a conclusion, and whereas the Allies' victory in World War I affirmed the strength in the great nations acting together for high purposes, and whereas through their elected representatives, the people of the United States designated November 11th as a federal legal holiday in 1954 that became officially known thereafter as Veterans Day. And whereas Veterans Day continues to be celebrated and commemorated with solemn observances in honor of all Americans who have served their countries in time of war and peace. And whereas Veterans Day has become a significant part of American heritage as we recognize the millions of citizens whose Military service has had a profound effect on history, and whereas the courage, honor, sacrifice, and dedications of veterans of the United States Armed Forces have displayed in the name of freedom and democracy are most worthy of recognition and will not soon be forgotten. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed by Staunton City Council that November 11, 2023 is hereby designated as Veterans Day in the city of Staunton, and City Council urges our community and our communities across the country to observe this day with the appropriate ceremonies in honor of those men and women who have served. And Colonel, we'd like to give you the presentation.
Come out in this picture taken.
I break the camera.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you so much, City Council and Councilman Holmes. I am Melissa Patrick. I am the Senior Vice Commander of the local Veterans of Foreign Wars District, and it's my distinct honor and privilege to accept this proclamation on behalf of all of Staunton's veterans. And if I could ask the veterans in the room, if you would please stand. Whether a draftee or a volunteer, each of us has shared the distinction of wearing the nation's cloth while serving in defense of our freedoms and our way of life. We are honored to have done so. Although most of us are no longer in uniform, our nation's veterans continue to serve our communities in a myriad of ways. And I want to highlight that there are several veteran service organizations that serve Staunton's veterans. And they're important to the community and to our veterans. Staunton is blessed to have not one, but two Veterans of Foreign Wars posts, Post 2216 and Post 7814. And I'm happy that the commander of Post 7814 has joined us this evening, as well as a fellow comrade from 7814. American Legion Post 13, which is responsible for this community's very distinctive living memorial, the Avenue of Trees. AMVETS and the Disabled American Veterans. All of these organizations contribute hours and many funds throughout the community. Just this morning, a 33-vehicle drive-by parade went out to area nursing homes, dropping off Veterans Day cards for our shut-in veterans. In past years, Post 2216 has contributed an average of $50,000 per year to local charities and nonprofits. Many people are completely unaware that they have been doing that for years. Over the last couple of years, area veterans have raised and donated nearly $170,000 to help combat veterans deal with combat stress and war trauma by supporting Boulder Crest Retreat. We veterans work with local schools, promoting patriotism and American values through patriotic essays, as well as recognizing teachers. We contribute thousands of volunteer hours of community service all year long through blood drives, aid to senior citizens, environmental programs, hospital visitations, youth activities, memorializations, and financial assistance. Another local veterans organization, Queen City Rucking for 22, highlights suicide prevention and contributes in December with the Jingle Bell Ruck, which is coming up next month, contributes food to the Valley Mission. So we thank you very much for this tribute and for your recognition. And I would conclude by saying that we look forward to seeing all City Council members on Saturday at the Veterans Day Parade. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I have another proclamation today, and at this point I would like Greg Beam, who's the Executive Director of the Staunton Downtown Development Association, and Jessica Sawyers, the board representative, to come to the front. And I would like to read the proclamation, which states, City of Staunton proclamation for Small Business Saturday on November 25th, 2023. Whereas the City of Staunton, Virginia celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are more than 33 million small businesses in the United States that represent 99.7% of all businesses with paid employees in the United States, and are responsible for more than 70% of net new jobs created in the past 20 years. And whereas small businesses employ 48% of the employees in private sector of the United States, and whereas 94% of consumers in the United States value the contributions small businesses make in their community, and whereas 92% of the companies planning promotion on Small Business Saturday said the day helps their business stand out during the busy holiday season. And whereas the citizens of Staunton support our local business and recognize that such business create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas the City of Staunton supports local businesses by, among other initiatives and activities, establishing and maintaining a downtown service district and partnering with the Staunton Downtown Development Association. And whereas the City of Staunton joins with other localities in Virginia and across the nation in recognizing the importance of local business. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by Staunton City Council that November 25th, 2023 is hereby designated as Small Business Saturday in the City of Staunton, and City Council urges the residents of our community to support small business and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. In witness whereof I herefore set my hand and put the seal of the city. Congratulations. Picture? Yeah.
That way. I'll go this way.
All right. Look at me and then you can look at that one. All right. Ready? Look at me. Okay.
All right, ready? A couple more. Okay. Thanks, guys.
A few words.
Let's see.
Wow, this is up and down. This feels like an Episcopal church service.
Well, on behalf of the Staunton Downtown Development Association and our small business owners in downtown, we thank you so much for this. We're honored to do the work that we do. Earlier this year, Jessica and I had the opportunity to go to the National Main Street Conference in Boston. And, you know, at the conferences, you have the name badges and they say, you know, your hometown and where you're from. And folks immediately, they caught Staunton and they would come up to us. And these are folks from all over the country. And they're like, oh, you're Staunton. And we were like, well, yeah. And they said, you're one of the great American main streets. And so folks recognize us as being part of that elite group that has recognized, you know, is recognized as one of the great places to live in America. And the work that our community has done to preserve and continue to grow our Main Street and our downtown and our whole district is outstanding. And that's really the work of our community members, our business owners, our city government. It, like we always say, it takes all of us to make this one of those great places to live. So we're really thankful for that. And we're looking forward to a wonderful shopping season ahead that's coming up and starts with Small Business Saturday. So thanks again for all of your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you. As a small business owner, I really appreciate this one. I will see all of you all getting gift certificates, right?
Uh-huh.
Every day.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, moving on to the mayor's report. I guess my thunder has been stolen. Right here there's a parade this Saturday for the veterans. So that was my first item that I was going to mention. But that will be at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. And we're going to meet and line up in the 10 o'clock hour. This will be the only council meeting of the month due to Thanksgiving falling on the fourth Thursday. So therefore, there's a lot of stuff that we have to get done tonight, including inviting all of you to the lighting of the city tree at Gypsy Hill Park beside the pool, and that will be at 5:30 on November 27th, which is Monday, immediately followed by the parade in downtown Staunton. That's our annual Christmas parade, and that will be at 7 o'clock that night. So November's got a lot going on, and we look forward to the upcoming holiday season. And I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving ahead of time. That's all I have, but I just want to mention the fact that I have a certificate of service here to R. What does the R stand for, Terry?
Robert.
All right, Robert Terry Holmes, in recognition of his service to the city of Staunton as a city council member from February 2nd to December 31st in the year 2023. And that's in addition to the many, many years he served on council.
See, y'all could have saved some money. I'd have brought my frame in here and you would
Thank you so much.
I'd just like to thank this city council for inviting me back in. It was really nice. Mayor Claffey's done a great job of settling this city council back down to a little bit of normalcy. and I really appreciate everybody on the council, and they've become friends, and they're good people, and they really care about the city. And it's just great to work with these people and the city staff. I mean, I just can't say enough, you know. I will be looking for them in the restaurant. They better come out and eat. And I might come in and I'll take that first seat up there every now and then and and remind them that I'm still here. But I really appreciate everything. Thank you.
And we appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Terry.
All right. Any additional members of council? Additional items?
Yeah, I got something.
Go ahead.
As the nominations committee met yesterday afternoon, and we did have a light meeting, but we're excited about what we are doing. The nominations committee met November 8th, 2023, and would like to make the following motion: to appoint Anna Levitt to the Social Services Advisory Board to fill the unexpired term of Judy Burtner ending August 31st, 2026. Also to reappoint Sarah Lynch as the restaurant representative to the Tourism Advisory Board for a 3-year term beginning November the 1st, 2023 and ending October 31st, 2026. And that's it.
All right. Coming as from a committee report, there's no second required on that. Mr. Kesker, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Robertson.
Aye.
Mr. Holmes.
Aye.
Ms. Edwards.
Aye.
Mr. Arrowwood.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Darby.
Aye.
Mayor Claffey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any other items from members of council?
Yes, I have one.
Councilor Woods.
So, the Staunton West End Business Association does business after hours, business after 5, because they had to change after hours because that would coincide with the chamber. They spotlight local businesses in the West End, and on November the 14th from 5:30 to 7, their spotlight will be on the Art Hive, and that's there on Spring Hill Road. So if you're not doing anything, come out and see what businesses we have in the West End, and that will be 5:30 to 7, November the 14th.
Mayor Claffey, I attended the Lewis Creek Watershed Advisory Commission meeting this past Monday evening, and I just want to say, that it's such a great thing that they do for, our city, and if anyone's interested in learning more about, specifically maybe Lewis Creek or Gum Springs or just the different things that they're doing, it's always welcome for folks to come and join them and hear what they have to say.
Very good.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this last week, after the Metropolitan Planning Organization, I had an opportunity to tour the Staunton Crossing site with our regional VDOT director there. And it had been a while since I'd actually seen it. They're moving a whole lot of dirt out there. And it's taking shape, and it looks like they're about ready to start paving some roads in there as well. So it looks very different than last time I had seen it. And they're moving along pretty well, which is good to see, just because it's from our perspective. I know at times it feels like a slog, but it's coming along pretty well. So that was good to see.
Very good.
So, one more thing, I have to start writing stuff down. 2 Saturdays ago, Golden Bridges for the Greater Good hosted Uniontown. So it was actually at Uniontown, and it was a beautiful day to host it there. Many people came out. City staff was there. Adam Campbell was there, and I also participated. And it was just to open it up and walk around and let the people that have property there and that live there just tell you where it is and how it used to be. The Crawfords is here, and they still do live in Uniontown, and it was just awesome. And they gave the tour to walk around because they can tell you a whole lot of what was in Uniontown and the housing and everything. And then I also did, on my Facebook page, I also did a couple of videos, Facebook Lives. And one of the things that I really wanted to point out is that I showed, because not many people go there, and they're getting more attention now than they used to, about where the bridge was over the train track. So I specifically took those shots and was adamant about sharing that portion to where the bridge is no longer there to connect both sides of Uniontown. So.
Anyone else? Well, thank you. Thank you. All right, that brings us to our regular meeting. And we start out with the consent agenda. All items on a consent agenda will be voted on in one motion. Do any council members desire to remove any items from the consent agenda to be placed on the regular meeting agenda for separate consideration?
Mayor Claffey, back
Councilor
again. I move to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item A2, and that item A2 be moved to the end of the regular agenda for discussion and a separate vote.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Mr. Kester, call the roll.
Mr. Robertson.
Aye.
Ms. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Holmes.
Aye.
Mr. Arrowood.
Aye.
Ms. Edwards.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Darby.
Aye.
Mayor Claffey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. So, and check with Mr. Blair. That covers the minutes. So the minutes are approved. Very good. So let us go to the next item of business, which is the public hearing and consideration of a request by the Staunton Economic Development Authority to rezone 100 North Frontier Drive parcel identification number 12411, consisting of 79.39 acres and a portion of 1249 Richmond Avenue parcel identification number 12412, consisting of 26.3 acres from B2 General Business District to I1 Light Industrial District. Ms. Beauregard.
Mr. Rodney Rhodes, Senior Planner, will item this evening.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you again. As the mayor noted in the introduction to this item, the Staunton Economic Development Authority has requested a rezoning of 100 North Frontier Drive and a portion of 1249 Richmond Avenue to I1 Light Industrial District. The combined area to be rezoned is approximately 106 acres. And the primary purpose of this rezoning is to implement the recommendations of the Staunton Crossing Economic Development Business Plan, which was adopted by City Council in September of 2019 and calls for industrial uses in this portion of Staunton Crossing. That's a little bit of background on this property. In 2013, the Staunton Economic Development Authority acquired the 300-acre site, which was the former location of Western State Hospital. The site's front 25 acres was sold and has since been developed with commercial uses such as hotels, fast food restaurants, convenience, and retail stores. And currently, as I believe Mr. Arrowood alluded to, the Virginia Department of Transportation is constructing an extension of Crossing Way that will connect Richmond Avenue with Valley Center Drive. Obviously, this is very important for the development of this property. And from a zoning perspective, it's important because this splits parcel 1249, and that would provide the border for this rezoning. Normally, we wouldn't like to have split zoning on a parcel, but this parcel will be split when that right-of-way is accepted by the city and recorded. The Generalized Land Use and Development Guide, Future Land Use Map for Staunton, Virginia, in the Comprehensive Plan 2018 to 2040 designates this area as commercial. However, it has not been updated to reflect the land use changes that need to be made to implement the Staunton Crossing Economic Development Business Plan. And I would note it was the intention of staff to do so back in 2018. However, that mapping change from a hand-drawn map to the computer-generated maps that went before the public hearing were not made. And no doubt it would have been approved at that time. And it certainly is on our list of things to address with our update of the comprehensive plan in 2024. The Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on this matter on October 19th, 2023. No one spoke in opposition to the request. One person questioned the need to rezone over 100 acres to industrial and the potential impacts it would have on the adjoining business property. And on a 5-0 vote, the commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the rezoning. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have at this time. If you have any questions for the EDA, they have representatives here that will come up and answer those, or you can go ahead and conduct a public hearing.
First off, from council members, any questions of Mr. Rhodes?
Just a question, Mr. Rhodes. Because with it going to light industrial, I just wanted to ask you if there were going to be more than one exit entrance to this property. If there were to be trucks in and out of this place, would there be a back entrance exit?
On Staunton Crossing,
to this property, yeah.
Well, this 100 acres, we're not sure how it will be developed, and it would have to go through a site plan review process, and we would address access to the site at that time.
Got it. Thank you.
But the VDOT road is going to have to it.
Yeah, I thought so from the map.
It ties into where the school was looking at the property for
Staunton Crossing will continue throughout the entire length of the property. Yes, and we'll have an entrance on both ends. I thought you were talking about on site of this property.
Oh, no, right.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Makes it more accessible, right?
Any other questions, or Mr. Rhodes?
Mm-mm.
Anyone from EDA want to say anything, or?
They're here if you have any questions.
Any questions of EDA? So let's go to the public hearing. All right, I will now open the public hearing. So if you wish to speak, please approach the podium. We will alternate between individuals physically present and those that have their hands raised via the Zoom platform. Again, this public hearing is strictly for the consideration of the request of the EDA to rezone this property. The public hearing is now open. Would anyone like to speak? Mr. Kesker, is anyone online?
No, sir. I have no one with their hand raised.
The public hearing is now closed. That was too easy. Councilor Holmes.
I move that council adopt the ordinance and approve the rezoning as recommended by the Planning Commission.
A motion has been made. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second.
Councilor Robertson is second. Mr. Kesker, please call the roll.
Mr. Airwood.
Aye.
Miss Edwards.
Aye.
Miss Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Robertson.
Aye.
Mr. Holmes.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Darby.
Aye.
Mayor Claffey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Very good. The next item of business is a public hearing in consideration of an amendment to Chapter 18.95 Agricultural Forest District of Title 18 Zoning of the Staunton City Code to eliminate the minimum acreage requirement for a parcel to be added to an ag forest district. Ms. Beauregard.
Rodney Rhodes will also handle this item this evening.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor Claffey. The city's agricultural and forestal districts are established and regulated under both the Code of Virginia and the City Code. And the City Code has a requirement that a parcel contain a minimum of 20 acres to be considered for inclusion as an addition to an agricultural and forestal district. However, the Code of Virginia does not include a minimum acreage for a specific parcel to be added to the district. It just requires that there must be at least a 200 acre for the entire district. And we recently had a request to reduce that 20 acre requirement or to eliminate it. And we passed this along to the city attorney, and it's the city's attorney opinion that because the enabling legislation of the Code of Virginia does not specify a minimum acreage requirement, the Staunton City Code cannot specify a minimum acreage requirement. And to eliminate this conflict between state law and local ordinance, staff is recommending an amendment to remove the 20 acre minimum requirement. And I would note this is, I guess, a nice way to say we have no other choice, but we have to eliminate the 20 acre requirement. And I really thought the 20 acre requirement made a lot of sense. And I believe staff did back in 2012 when this was added to the ordinance to to eliminate people with small parcels to try to add it to the ag forestry district to get the tax benefit. However, in the state code, there is a minimum 5-acre agricultural acreage requirement in order to receive land use valuation, and there's a 20-acre minimum if it's in forestal. So I believe the state code still protects us from having multiple small lots or any small lots from applying for that. The Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on this on October 19th, 2023. No one spoke in opposition to the request, and on a 5-0 vote, the commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the zoning text amendment. I'll be glad to take any questions you have at this time or after you conduct the public hearing.
Questions from council? All right, let me open up the public hearing. If you wish to speak, please approach the podium. We will alternate between individuals physically present and those who have their hands raised on the Zoom platform. Again, this public hearing is strictly for the public hearing consideration for an amendment to the Ag Forest District. At this point, the public hearing is open. Would anyone like to speak? Mr. Kessiker, is anyone online?
No, sir. I have no one with their hand raised.
Public hearing is closed. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move I move that council adopt the ordinance and approve the amendment as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilor Robertson is second. Mr. Kessiker, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Edwards.
Aye.
Mr. Robertson.
Aye.
Mr. Holmes.
Aye.
Mr. Arrowood.
Aye.
Ms. Woods.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Darby.
Aye.
Mayor Claffey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Right. Thank you. Item D is a consideration of a request by D.R. Horton Incorporated to amend the final plat for Old South Village, Section 4, to be renamed Southview, Section 4. Ms.
Rhodes, once again, is the guy.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's the Rodney Road Show today. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Claffey. You may recall that back in May of 2023, a final plat for Section 4 was approved by this council, creating 33 new lots with an extension of Stonewall Jackson Boulevard and the creation of a new street, which was to be named Antietam Court. I would note that the sole purpose of the current final plat submission is to change the name of the section under development and to change the name of a street under construction. The revised final plat renames this section to Southview Section 4 and includes the same 33 lots with the same configuration, but changes the name of Antietam Court to Rolling Ridge Court. We had the city attorney review this final plat to make sure there was no other changes to it, and he conferred that the only changes were these two names. The Planning Commission considers requests at the October 19th, 2023 meeting, and on a 4-0 vote, the Commission voted to recommend approval of the amended final plat. I'll be glad to take any questions you have at this time. This is not a public hearing. I would note that this final plat continues to meet all subdivision requirements.
Any questions from councilors? Everybody's fine with it?
I think we're fine with it.
Yeah, no issues.
All righty. I will, await a motion.
Mayor Claffey.
Councilor Holmes.
I move the council approve the amended final plat as recommended by the Planning Commission.
All right. A motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Councilor Woods is second that. And Mr. Kessiker, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Edwards.
Aye.
Mr. Holmes.
Aye.
Ms. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Robertson.
Aye.
Mr. Arrowood.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Darby.
Aye.
Mayor Claffey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. And that brings us to the item that was on the consent agenda, which is a consideration of panhandling signage in the city of Staunton. Ms. Beauregard.
Sure. I'll just give a little history of this item and then open the floor for the discussion. So this first came before council at the request of Councilmember Robertson on September 14th. And council discussed the handling and potential signage within the city and directed staff to explore the issue further. Ms. Amanda Kaufman, the assistant city manager, pulled a working group together. That working group was consisted of reps from the city manager's office, community development, Public Works, Police Department, Valley Community Services Board, Valley Mission, and the Shenandoah Valley Social Services. This group discussed potential signage, content, and locations, and that was again presented to City Council during its October 26th work session. So what is in front of City Council this evening is signage that will be made and installed by Public Works on 2 locations along Richmond Avenue. Mr. Johnston is here if you have questions about the locations. But the ones being proposed are at Richmond and Frontier, and Richmond and the entrance to Walmart, but not the Walmart median because that's private property. So both of them would be on Richmond Road. The resource listed on the signage will be the Valley Homeless Connection hotline number, which is managed by the Valley Community Services Board. And the working group felt like this was the most comprehensive resource and referral hotline for our community. And so in the agenda material, there's a sign mock-up as well. So that is the proposal in front of City Council tonight. I'm happy to open the floor for discussion and questions for staff.
I feel we're getting close on this. If this is something we want to do, my view on it is that this is a resource for people who find themselves homeless, on it, like an information sign, perhaps. I still feel like we have a conflict between what the top of the sign says and the number. We're talking about donate to social services, need help, and here's a number. And that, to me, it feels like we need an English major, on it, because it feels like that's telling me if I want to donate, call that number. But at that number, there's no opportunity to donate to that. That is for people needing help in homelessness. Now, I'm also uncertain if I don't feel that number is the most responsive one for it. It definitely connects you to good services, but it is never answered as a live line. You leave a message, they call you back. I left a message at 4 p.m. on a weekday. They called me back the next morning. The message I left, I identified myself as a city council member. I was calling to learn more about it, and I said that I wanted to see how quickly you can get back to me, and it was the next day. On that, we do have a statewide resource. You can dial 211, and that is 24/7 answered by a real person. I called, and it took them 7 minutes to connect me to an actual person. And they said, "Where are you calling from?" I said, 24401 Staunton. They said, "If you're homeless, I can connect you with Valley Mission. If you are, in an abuse situation, we can connect you to New Direction." So it's the same 2 organizations that this number would connect you to. But the number that we have listed right now is, I believe it's 8 to 5, Monday to Friday. So if you call them 5:15 on Friday and you find yourself homeless, you will hope to hear back from them Monday morning. That, to me, is a little difficult on that. So they're doing great work there with that hotline, but I just think that homelessness and need doesn't always follow bankers' hours. So I feel that we should consider using the statewide hotline on that, as it is always, answered with a person, and they can direct you to services that are similar as well. So there's that. I think we could also work on the wording a little bit more. If we're going to do this, let's do it right. Let's be sure it's not confusing to anybody. But there, I've babbled on now.
I'm all right with, trying to get it. If we're trying to take care and help homelessness, I'm okay. I'm all right with that. And as long as we take care of the safety issue, like we said, and we can try to do 2 in 1. What was our discussion? I'm trying to remember the 221 number last night with Anna.
So because it's not centralized, it's not local here, but you said that they connected you with the Valley Mission.
Right.
Yeah, they ask you where you are. I just felt more comfortable calling it myself and seeing what my experience would be like just calling it. And they said, where are you? And I said, how can I identify myself? And I said, zipper. And they said, yeah, just tell me where you are and we'll connect you with that. But initially it winnows it down with, do you need a meal? Do you need housing? Are you dealing with abuse? Are you, and so it gives them a little bit of information, I think, when they initially answer your call.
So our question is, with this, there's two things here. It's telling the citizens not to donate to.
I mean, on the proposed sign.
It doesn't say don't, but it says it isn't safe and donate to social services organizations. Then on the bottom part is telling for help for what? For help for who? So that is right there what we talked about that is kind of confusing because am I calling for help?
For help donating.
To donate or are the ones that are asking for donations calling for help and they don't know that that's a number for them to call for help? I mean, because the wording doesn't pertain to that. So
change it to something like in need of help. And because you can't put too much stuff on the sign because then you won't.
Yeah, tiny font or something.
Tiny and
right, but we have to separate from.
Donors
the two
versus the recipients.
Yeah, it's kind of two different signs in one. But we need to make it more clear with a dividing line or something. If you are in need of help.
But we're talking about homelessness. I understand unsheltered, but who's to say that if you're going to say somebody that's panhandling, who's to say that they're homeless and maybe they have a home, but they need food? I mean, they could be out there doing it for so many different reasons.
And 211 does cover that.
What if you just simply, if we have our top line and then on the bottom, in need of help, call 211.
If you are in need of help, call 211. Is that covered?
I think so. I mean, it would be if we want to try to get into, because I mean, theoretically, the person that's in need of help is standing there with a sign. And so, I mean, it could be more information, if you need housing, food. Yeah.
And I think the point, just to add to him, I think the point of 211 is it's one of those emergency numbers. It's like 911, 411. It's easy to remember. No one's going to have to write it down. Right. You remember 211.
So why we can't say for emergency assistance?
And it's everywhere. I mean, you see 211 in every social service agency as the emergency number that you call. And I had called one night at about 10 o'clock just to see what they did. And I got somebody in about 2 minutes and I told them I told them who I was and why I was calling. And they had every resource for every possible need that a person would have. But
Terry, didn't you call too?
I called at 3 a.m. and I got an answer too.
They were like, city council again. Yeah.
I know.
So I was really considering, I didn't know if they would answer that late at night, and they did. And it took a little while. It took about 7 or 8 minutes because, but they did answer and they were helpful. And they, it was just nice that they were kind of hearing a comforting voice, as opposed to, leave a message.
Yeah.
And we'll call you on Monday. Yeah.
So how about the wording needs to be, I'm thinking in crisis, call 211.
Yeah. I just hesitate to use the word emergency because then you get into 911.
Right.
But
in crisis, call 211. That's letting the person know that they're doing the panhandling, that number is for them.
Yeah. So we're going to leave the top the same right there. The top is
just this bottom portion.
It's just that
bottom portion. In crisis, call 211
for help. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever.
So it's going to say for everyone's safety, panhandling isn't safe. Donate to social. Are we going to say that? Donate to social service organizations? Or are we going to take that out?
Well, I think when if it says in crisis, call 211 for help, then I think that delineates
The person,
this is new subject. Call to, yeah. I mean, I just feel like the way it stands, it wasn't that clear to me. Yeah,
You don't like donate to social services?
No, I'm fine with that. I mean, it's a good thought anyway. It would be cool if we had it would be nice if we had a specific way for people to do that, but then we get into the woods of, who should you donate to? How should you do it?
Right.
We don't have that. I mean, even the other number has no functionality for direct donation.
Right. I like the idea.
If you put too much word, nobody's going to read it.
Nobody's going to read it. Exactly.
Right. Yeah,
you need to make it as quick and easy as possible.
Right. But you just have to separate it so the person that you're telling that panhandling isn't safe, donate to social organization isn't calling this number to donate to or so.
Right. So that's going to be eliminated. You're going to put in crises, call 211.
And it's in a different color. It's in the brown area with it, and the other one with white. I mean, that's delineation.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't want us to end up with signs that are just don't donate to manhandlers. It's just sort of like it makes it sound like I don't want to see it.
Well, we're not saying don't.
Like, I want assistance, on there, and I think 211 is our best resource for it.
Absolutely.
We all want that, but it's just, I think.
But it's still up to the
tweaks,
individual anyway. They can you would have a sign up there all day. It's still to the individual whether they want to give to them or not.
Exactly. Right. Like the lawyers, like our city attorney said, you can't say you can't do it.
We just suggested. This is a suggestion.
We're just making a suggestion for safety purposes.
And we're making a suggestion for that person that is out there asking for in crisis, then you can call this number.
Well, Mark, it was like you and I were talking about earlier today. I was unaware of 211 until this.
Yeah,
I never had an opportunity to know about it.
I wasn't either.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in crisis have no idea because maybe it's their first time in crisis.
Yeah.
Well, mostly 211 was basically used for hotline for mental health and substance use and to get information.
Yeah,
like
it's a one-stop shop kind of, for that, but it also includes this.
So much more.
Yeah, I think a lot of other communities have faced similar situations with this, and I think that was the creation of 211, and so we're joining in, and directing use to that.
So are we all in agreement? That's what we want.
Somebody tell me what the bottom says.
In crisis, call 211
for assistance. I would like for assistance.
Somebody decided it says for help or for assistance at the end because Mr. Eric
was saying that. Does anyone not like that? Yeah.
Is it just call 211 period or call 211 for help or for assistance? Mr. Airwood.
I'm kind of just call 211 because if you start, like I said, if you start adding too many words, it gets too jumbo and people aren't going to read it. I mean, that's just my personal feeling.
Well, it's just adding because it's two already here. So in crisis, call 211.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm not. It's not a hill I'm willing to die on. Yeah,
because that is a crisis hotline.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
The top stays the same.
Yes. Top
Are there questions about the locations? Because Mr. Johnson is here. If there are questions about, this is a pilot, so it's not like if we put it in two places right now, we can't add other locations.
And I will. You said you're at the Walmart thing because I actually spoke with Walmart and I'm just waiting for them to get back because
they would like to put their own sign up. That's fine.
Well, but they said, well, we might like the idea. I'm just saying they said they're going to talk to corporate and because they actually were excited about it, to be honest with you.
Because our sign will just face Richmond Road as we turn into Walmart.
Yeah, that's fine. Because they said that they themselves had many complaints and whatever, from their patrons as well.
I have one other question. The colors, how will these show up? I mean, I'm sure it'll show up good in the daytime, but once it starts getting towards dusk, will they still be?
As long as they're like that silver stuff, right, Mr.
So yes, we'll be using our standard traffic sign making materials. So what's shown as white on that background will be a reflective white.
Yeah.
So we'll pick up the headlights. It'll be the same materials used on all of our traffic safety signs.
And then the brown It will be like the reflective yellow?
No, the brown will be just a standard 3M brown vinyl.
Well, what I meant though is the yellow reflective
yellow script will be reflective, so it'll be contrasting.
Yep. Okay.
The only location that I thought I'd sent you was the end of Statler Boulevard, where it
comes down
intersects Richmond Road.
So Statler and Richmond, since that second left turn lane was put in, there's not a whole lot of real estate on the eastbound side, and there's already a signpost at the end of that median with signs on both sides, traffic safety signs on both sides that can't be blocked. So we would have to, if we were to put a sign there, it would have to be pretty far away from the intersection as to not block the existing signs. On the eastbound side,
can't you go right in below it on the same post?
It's not a traffic safety sign, so the manual on uniform traffic control devices doesn't apply. But for signs on a street to be read by motorists, there's a minimum height that they recommend you stay above. Now I'll go back and look at that for a pilot. So at the two intersections that we're proposing, there are already existing stay right signs at the end of each of those medians that have no signs on the back. So we could put these signs on that same pole so they'd be facing the left turn lane, and communicating to folks who are stopped there without going out, dropping new poles and more cluttering it up. For Statler, that might be a better phase 2 rollout on this, because getting some time to figure out.
Since they've changed that intersection, I haven't seen people panhandling there like they were.
There's not a lot of real estate out there for signs or anyone else.
You're right. There's not much
anymore
real estate there.
But I'm not going to say it's impossible, because again, it's not a traffic safety sign, but it's a more complicated install there. And for the initial phase of the pilot, those other two intersections are relatively low hanging fruit because of the existing signs and the existing availability.
Very good. Let's just do the two get the program going, because I think we've worn out Ms. Beauregard on this.
Let's make a motion.
No motion is required. Is
no motion required?
Actually,
it is, since we took it off.
All right, let's go. Let's hear a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the pilot program and the signage as we talked earlier.
As discussed.
As discussed, yes.
Motion
is that all right?
Using the verbiage as agreed to.
Using the verbiage as agreed to, yes.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Fairwood is second. Mr. Kester, please call the roll.
Ms. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Holmes.
Aye.
Ms. Edwards.
Aye.
Mr. Arrowood.
Aye.
Mr. Robertson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Darby.
Aye.
Mayor Claffey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That was a long drawn out process. I'm glad that's behind us.
You never know which ones are going to be.
Very good. All right, that brings us to matters from the city manager.
Okay, I only have a couple items tonight. The first item is I'm going to read a press release that the police department sent out earlier today about skill game machines. So let me read this. On October 13th, 2023, the Supreme Court of Virginia dissolved a lower court's injunction and reinstated the statewide ban on skill game machines in Commonwealth versus Sadler Brothers Oil Company. Virginia's Attorney General has provided guidance to the Commonwealth attorneys and recommended that no enforcement action regarding skill games begin prior to November 15th, 2023. Staunton Commonwealth Attorney Jeffrey Gaines has decided to grant a grace period through January 1st, 2024 to allow time to educate the public and for local businesses to remove all skill games from their establishments in the city prior to this date. Between now and the end of the year, personnel from the Staunton Police Department will be notifying staff of establishments known to utilize skill games of the reinstatement of the ban on the machines. The second item is Thanksgiving. So we sent out a press release and social media post regarding Thanksgiving holiday schedules because mostly affected is trash pickup. So if you're a resident, there will be no residential trash pickup on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, or Friday the 24th. Instead, your trash will be picked up on Wednesday, so you need to put it out a day or two earlier. If you're in the Central Business District, they will receive trash collection on Wednesday the 22nd and Saturday the 25th, and the regular schedule will resume on Monday the 27th. The recycling center will be open on Wednesday the 22nd and will resume on Monday the 27th because it will be closed on the Thanksgiving Day, Friday, and Saturday. The Staunton Public Library will be closing early on Wednesday the 22nd at 5 p.m., and they will also be closed Thursday and Friday, November 23rd and 24th, but they will be open on the 25th. There's a lot, but if you go on our website, you'll see all these details. So it's on our front page in our news. Of course, the City of Staunton administrative offices will be closed on the 23rd and 24th. We'll resume regular hours on the 27th. So again, that was a press release that went out today or yesterday, and everything is in our news on our page. And if you have Facebook, it's on there as well. And that's all I have this evening.
Can I ask the city manager a question?
Certainly.
And maybe Jeff get involved. I'm just kind of curious. How is the return process going with the
Great.
With the questions?
Well, oh no, Jeff, don't you dare abandon me. We've been getting, and I don't know, did Morgan tell you how many responses? I think it was inching up to 1,000 at least.
Okay.
We're getting quite a few responses, lots of questions. And what we've been telling people is we may not have the answer to your question right now. That is the purpose of the survey. So please complete the survey. Don't be impatient with us if we don't know the answer right now, but that is the point of doing the survey. We've given ourselves lots of time to work through this. But we're getting lots of responses, lots of questions. So that's all great because we're learning a ton about what people do and how they behave on trash day and what they're putting out and what they think they need. So it's been very educational, but we're asking people to be patient because we're learning too. And just because we don't know the answer doesn't mean you may like the answer or you may not in the end, but we're going to work through this. And that's why we're getting the information.
When you said you're also getting lots of questions, are you trying to respond to some of those questions, or this just
well, if we
totally
can,
collection?
we will respond to them.
Okay.
But let's say somebody asks, well, I put brush out every week, and that's a big one. I don't know, do you want to talk about that? Because that seems to be the biggest one.
So a couple of things. Primarily what I'm saying when I get phone calls, and I get the phone calls, is that we're really in question gathering mode now. We want to get all those questions so as we roll up our sleeves and put out our new policy, that the policy addresses all those what if scenarios. What if I occasionally have a little bit of extra trash? What if I'm going to be gone for, a long weekend and who's going to, and I can't get my trash can back? Yard waste comes up a lot. What am I going to do with my existing trash cans comes up a lot. And these are all good questions, and we are going to have to accommodate those and any number of other things in this new policy. What I will say is for customers who are out there, and I know the crowd that shows up here on Thursday has probably already filled out the survey, so this is a little choir preachy, but don't assume that someone else has asked your question. And even if you know that someone else has asked your question, you need to ask it too, because we need to know what questions were asked 1,000 times and which questions were only asked 10 times to help gauge how we posture this policy. I will say again that this type of system is used in tens of thousands of locations all around the world. So there are plenty of other people's homework to copy off of. There are plenty of solutions to choose from. We just need to figure out which one is going to work best for Staunton, and sort of come up with a greatest hits policy of refuse systems from around the world. But we only know that when people tell us what they're really worried about. It's at this point, and I was talking to Morgan this afternoon, we've got, if you assume that, each of the surveys came from one of our residential refuse customers, over 10% of our customers have already responded, which is a pretty good number. But there's still a few more weeks. Encourage everybody to, if you haven't had an opportunity, get to the survey. There's hard copies available at Public Works, at the library, here in City Hall. It's available online. Just let us know what you're concerned about, even if you're not concerned about everything. Even if this is the way you've seen it done before and you're super excited and can't wait for it to start, let us know that, so we can really get a feel for where everybody's at.
The survey's open through December 15th, so we have several weeks.
Okay. So, yeah, because I know the other big question in Staunton, that since Staunton is really built on the flat surface, we've got a lot of hills and a lot of homes, especially up in Hillcrest that I know of. I mean, people literally have driveways like that.
No, and there are people who have it's a flight of stairs from their house down to the curb, and there's a drastic shortage of curbs in parts of the town as well. Again, these are all things that our policy is going to have to address.
Good. Okay.
And once that policy is written, then we will be in the answer business. Then we'll be able to give answers to people about what if.
So, Jeff, to be sure I understand, you like for questions that they're going directly to you now, you're trying to answer. But as far as people taking the survey, that'll be an after the survey.
Well, again, anytime I talk to somebody with questions, my first comment is, have you had an opportunity to take the survey? Right. Can I get you a survey? Because we want their ideas to be part of that big data set that comes out of the survey. But then, I listen to their questions just out of my own morbid curiosity is there something that we hadn't thought of? Is there an issue that we haven't come up with? And I will say there have been some, maybe not fundamental issues we haven't thought of, but some nuances and some scenarios that hadn't dawned upon me that folks have pointed out to me that we'll have to address.
I mean, I feel like I've fielded a lot of questions, and I've tried to steer people towards the actual survey because they don't know unless you ask.
Precisely.
And one thing that has been coming up a lot, and I don't know if it's coming in the survey or people are asking you, is the people who go to the library and the people that maybe come here and they see the 48 and they see the 96, and people are saying to me that they feel the 48 is tiny and it holds 2 bags, and the 96 is as big as my college apartment. And is there an in-between? Is it available even from the supplier you were talking about using? Are you about to run out of the room? That's a look.
No, I mean, there are a number of sizes available. 96 and 48 is sort of the traditional starter set for transitioning programs. But that, that's something that we would.
64 a thing.
64 is a thing.
Okay.
So that's something we can look at. There's a logistics tail, obviously, to the more choices you got, the more parts and pieces that we have to stock at Public Works to maintain it.
Sure.
But if that is a concern, and it has been brought up.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to be sure.
I feel like I'm a 40 week a year 48, and then maybe a twice a year 96, and then a few years.
Right.
And
never a 48.
But no, I have heard that. I've seen it in some surveys.
Yeah.
It will be something we consider.
Okay. Thank you.
You're absolutely correct to just direct them to the survey.
I've been saying, don't tell me.
Yeah, go, because you can put in the survey your thoughts, and there's open-ended questions and spaces for people to write things. Like, I want a 64-gallon trash can instead. So
yeah, I don't want people to feel like if they talk to one of us that we're going to go fill out a survey in their name.
They need to make sure they do that.
Yeah, go ahead and
and same with us. We're not going to fill out the survey for them either. So we're going to give them a paper survey or direct them to the website.
The other thing worth mentioning is the policy has not been written.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah, we're gathering it. We're
trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, have a fun Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I brought them one that I got at lunch today. Yep. All right. Anything else?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good to go?
Yes, sir.
So that brings us to matters from the public. This part of City Council's agenda is entitled Matters from the Public. It is time that Council sets aside to hear from citizens and others about a wide variety of subjects. Copy of the Matters from the Public rules are available in paper form from the clerk. Ask you to familiarize yourself with these rules before commenting. Please come to the podium to begin your call. Identify yourself and complete your remarks within 5 minutes. Matters from the Public is now open. Welcome.
I'm Constance Birch, and I live on Mary Gray Lane. I was talking to a young man who makes use of the skateboard park. His hand was heavily bandaged, and my daughter and I started asking him what happened. There's some dangerous situations on the skateboard park. Some bolts have evidently come loose or are sticking up. And I don't know who takes care of that, but he was aware, which I was not, that there's a new skateboard park, but it's also has bolts and things that are loose or deteriorated. So it was very dangerous. He had pretty bad cuts on his hand. So I just want council to be aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I made a copy of what my remarks for everyone. Hopefully you can take them home and read them and think about them. Members of council, my name is Leslie Kipp. I'm a resident of Staunton. I live at 16 Church Street. And I'm submitting these comments in the hope that we can start to look at some of the intellectual framework that surrounds the DEI report that's going to be handed to you, I believe, in December. And I will read what I have written here. In the early 1960s, Martin Luther King challenged the nation and demanded civil rights for Negroes based upon a straightforward notion that the shared common humanity of blacks and whites renders racial distinctions artificial and trivial. His call, his challenge, was for America to live up to the high ideals that represent our country at its best. This was a powerful argument and won the day and gave the civil rights movement unchallenged moral authority. In 1962, as a senior in high school, I often engaged in spirited lunch table debates with classmates, and I used these debates as a soapbox to advance Dr. King's arguments. At times, when boxed into rhetorical corners, my classmates' frustrated rejoinder of last resort was, "You're a nigger lover." Fast forward to the present and Black Lives Matter. The BLM is a public relations masterstroke that hijacks Dr. King's legitimacy while rejecting his intellectual and ethical legacy. If you check the BLM website and research BLM doctrine, you will discover that it makes no mention of Dr. King's challenge to do our best. It substitutes an alternative that is an outright rejection of the bourgeois virtues such as hard work, respect for learning, self-discipline, and personal responsibility. But most importantly, Black Lives Matter is a call for racial exclusivity that rejects Dr. King's vision of a common humanity. On August 3rd, 2021, I stood on an empty sidewalk across from the Augusta County Courthouse preparing to photograph a Black Lives Matter demonstration. A pistol-carrying BLM protester spotted me, stepped off the curb, and started across the street in my direction. He stopped at arm's length away and blocked my camera lens with his hand. As he inched closer, attempting to force my retreat by continually crowding me, he repeatedly warned that any counter move would be an assault. Another BLM protester, shrouding his face with a flag, joined the first man. Soon the BLM accusations of white privilege filled the air. I offered the rejoinder that BLM doctrine is 180 degrees from Dr. King's message that stressed our common humanity. reply was more intense cries of white bitch, white privilege, and additional demonstrators gathered. A BLM protester shoved a heavy professional level Canon DSLR camera within inches of my face and began firing in continuous bursts. Another threw a glancing punch at me, followed in quick succession by two more. I turned to leave, and the pistol-toting BLM protester put out his arm to block my way. Another punch came and hit my camera with enough force to send the lens hood bouncing into the street. At this moment, across the street, a Staunton police car, lights blazing, wheeled to a stop, and like a sudden calm in the eye of a hurricane, the BLM crowd quickly dissipated.
Mr. Kipp, your time is up. I appreciate your comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would ask that you look at the conclusions in the last paragraph, because I think the city needs a discussion on these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Custer, is anybody on the line?
No, sir. I have no one with their hands raised.
Would anyone else like to speak for matters from the public? All right. Well, before we adjourn tonight, I have a couple of closing comments myself. Number one, welcome to Adam Campbell. Glad to have you to join us. Number two, happy Thanksgiving to all. I know it's just we're barely into November, but we will not be having a second meeting this month. Number three, the next meeting of this council body will be on 12/14. And number four, thanks to Terry Holmes, and I'm going to let him adjourn the meeting.
Oh,
thank you. Use it on anybody that's close.
Don't hit it so hard you send it going.
End of this
Come
meeting.
on, Terry.
Thank you.
Here.